Hey everybody. So I am super excited to be here with Janine here on my side, Kim and Christina. So we just want to give you just a little sort of quick and dirty on the business opportunity. Not overwhelming, not like everything you ever needed to know to grow like an empire. We're talking like, if I wanted to even consider this, what do I need to know? So we are going to share just a few tips, keep it not too long. But anyway, so Janine is going to go first and sort of tell you why she got started, if she even wanted to, how she ended up here. So Janine is Dana's upline. So sort of Dana, then me.
And then yeah. How's it going, guys? Yeah, my name is Janine O'Brien. I started in 2014, so it's been a little while since I started doing this. And as I jumped in, I started with oils just because my son was having an issue that I needed oils for, and lo and behold, it worked. And it wasn't anything that I thought that I was going to do a business with or anything like that. I was just like, I need oils. But when you start using the oils and when you start using the products, all of a sudden you start having these little aha moments. And my kids were a lot younger then. My oldest at the time was 7. So it was just all these mom moments that you started having where all of a sudden, you know, the sniffles were gone, it was helping for the earaches, it was helping for the stomach aches, it was helping for these little things where you just kept having these aha moments. And as a mom, you start talking to other moms and you start sharing and you start saying, your son has a tummy ache. Well, this is what I used on my son's tummy, right? And it worked. And they're like, oh, I need some of that. So you started doing that. And I just started sharing and people were wanting the product. And I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden I realized that when you share the product, you actually make a paycheck, like it's cash. It's like a lot of these things that I've gotten into in the past, it was like, you get a free product here and there or whatever, but I actually got a paycheck and I was like, what is this? And at the time I was working at a local bank, and it was a job that I actually really enjoyed for the longest time, but then it turned into something that was starting to get into. I was supposed to be working part-time. They were calling me in full-time all the time and having 3 little kids with daycare. I live out of town, so that made it a little bit more difficult, trying to scramble those extra 2 days in a row for that daycare. My kids never knew what was going on. They were always like, Mommy, where am I going today? It was stressful. I was driving into work every day. I started crying before I got into work every day. It was horrible. I hated that feeling. And when I started seeing these paychecks coming in, I started realizing that all of a sudden I was able to make car payments on a new car. I was able to pay for my kids' hockey, who are big hockey families. I was able to make these hockey payments, and it wasn't stressful for us anymore. And I was like, wow, this is like actually really cool. So I intentionally just started to be able to share a little bit more. And lo and behold, I was able to, at a point in my Young Living business and at working at the bank, I remember I requested some time off, and I was working so many extra hours for this company. And when I went and requested the time off, they said no. And I was actually in a little bit of shock at that moment, because I was like, wow, I put all this extra time and effort into doing all of this for you, stressing myself out, stressing my family out. And you say no to me asking for this time off. And I was actually really hurt at that moment. And I went home, talked to my husband. The next day I went in and quit, because my paycheck ended up being more than the paycheck I was getting at the bank. And so that was such a huge thing for our family, having 3 kids in sports, in school, living out of town and that sort of thing. And I'll never forget, because it was when I intentionally started sharing, I was probably away 1 evening a week doing oil parties and that sort of thing. And I remember my son always being like, oh, Mommy, when are you going to be able to do this? When are you going to be able to stay home? Because I kept telling him that was my goal, to be able to stay home. And when I came home and I told him that I quit my job, he started crying and he was like, Mommy, you did it. You did it. And you know what? Like, he's 14 years old now. And he even tells me now that he's so happy that I'm still home with him. Like, that I'm able to, like, now he's homeschooling. The other 2 aren't, but my oldest is homeschooling, and I'm able to be there with him, and we're able to hang out during the day. And it's just such an awesome feeling to be able to be there for your kids, and being able to pick them up, and being able to I'm more of a chauffeur now that my kids are getting older, but being able to be there for them. So it is such a huge feeling and such a huge blessing for us in our family life, in our home. my husband, he's working away this week, and it's not a big deal because I'm home, right? So it's just a huge blessing. And for me, some of the biggest business takeaways that I can actually share with you is, I mean, some people go into this as a business right off the get-go, and that's fantastic. And there's, I mean, everybody has their niche. Everybody, like I always say, I'm like, we're all made specially, right? We're all special people, and we all have our special ways of doing things. Some people are amazing at sharing on social media. Some people are amazing in person. Some people are just amazing at these different connections. You've got to find out what works best for you. I know for me, it was just, it was listening. It was being able to listen and being able to find people's needs. So I wasn't going out there and being like, oh, you know what? I have oils. You need to try oils because they're amazing. Although I want to say that to everybody because they are amazing. But it was listening and finding out what people needed in their home. Like it was listening to that mom that was up all night because her son had an earache, or listening to a friend of mine who they were painting their house. And they were so worried about the toxins in their home with the baby in the house, right? So having that diffuser in the home and just listening to those different needs and being like, I know what you need. And then you get them started with it. And it was as simple as that. And it was so easy for me just to be able to sit back and listen and being able to find out what their needs are. Another great one too is, I'm not always perfect at this, but being able to just simply share your lifestyle, share what you're using in your home on a daily basis on social media, on Facebook, and in your stories and that sort of thing. And it doesn't have to be like right in your face saying, this is what I use kind of thing, but just like having the oil on the background and just saying, you know what, my house smells amazing today because the oil smelled great, right? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, it's Christmas time and using that Christmas spirit oil and the house just smells amazing. And it's simple. It's just, it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to take up much of your time. When I was intentionally growing my business and I was still at work, I would just hop down at my lunch break for 10 minutes, and I'd share a couple things, and that was it. And it was super, it never took any extra more time out of my day. Like, it wasn't like I was stressed out and being like, oh, I've got to do all this and that and deliver all these things and everything like that. It was simple, and it doesn't have to be hard. So those are my quick little tips.
Awesome. Thank you. Janine is really good at that too. That's how she actually got Dana started, yes. Was because she was having headaches, and Janine was kind, but still persistent. And I think that's the thing. Don't badger people, but yes. Don't, like, if you still see a need, and gently ask again later, because you don't know if that person has just moved down the line to, I'm actually just desperate for any help. And they will probably thank you. So, Christina, are you there? I just thought I'd get Christina before, just in case she has to hop up. Hey, sorry, is this totally turn it on? I just thought I'd get Christina to share next, just in case, because she has a little guy at home, and you just never know with littles. So, that we'd catch you now, and then if you have to disappear, then you can. But if this is the time, Kim can go first.
So funny. You're like, oh yeah, here it goes. Because, you know, mom life. Meanwhile, my camera was off. I was washing laundry. Okay, so I'm Christina Spitto. I'm a mom to a toddler that's not even 2, but the size of a 3-year-old. He's huge. He makes like huge messes. I got started in Young Living because of him. I joined January 16th of 2020, which happened to be like less than 2 weeks before my son ended up being born. So that was really convenient. He's been like chemical free his whole life because of this, and I love it. I decided to do the business right away. I love the whole concept of the seed to seal. I love that you could visit the farms, and that like the ingredient labels were like proper. There's like, you actually knew what was in it. There's no guessing or like Googling some long Latin name that you can't even read, let alone spell. And I absolutely fell in love with Young Living because I get really, really bad cluster migraines due to a hormonal imbalance I've had since I was 12. And so I find a lot of use out of the peppermint and deep relief. I've yet to try M-grain though. That is going to end up in that basket sooner rather than later. And the Thieves Cleaner and the lemon oil, because there were so many stickers stuck everywhere, and that lemon oil is a lifesaver. Sorry, I got kittens like destroying everything. And that's actually kind of primarily my whole YL story right there. I've only been part of YL for 2 years, been doing the business for 2 years, and I got a copious amount of living things in my house. So we do the chemical free, so everyone's healthy and happy.
Awesome. And it does allow you sort of flexibility to work around Dante too, doesn't it? Because Christina is this like rock star single mom with like takes in every kitten and animal and human stray that she can. She has the most generous giving I've ever seen.
This is the immediate we've got going on. And then we got here, we got over by the door, you got some across the house. One's eating a phone cord.
So yeah, and so Christina is just sort of finding her way. She shares really authentically on social media. And something that I really love and respect about Christina is that, you know, she's been on social media for a long time, but she really just lately felt like, you know, she had lots of people on there that just didn't fit sort of like her desire to grow in this business. So she started fresh and she's just doing amazing things on there and sharing, and she just shares from her heart. She shares with people, she shares what she's doing. And that is such a beautiful thing about this business. And right now, especially with COVID, is we end up sharing more on like social media and stuff. So if you go check out Christina, what's your Instagram?
Underscore Christina Spidel underscore.
Okay, so she has a new account. So you can go check her out and see sort of what she does. It's really fun to just find some people that you resonate with and just see what they do that's not weird and spammy and just a whole bunch of ads for buy this and buy this, but just how they do it and how this works with their life. And that's like a really beautiful thing. Christina, do you want to share anything else right now?
No, I think that's
okay. Awesome. Kim, do you want
Yes.
Yes.
So what
if you have to go because your cats are in trouble or anything, you know, we want you to
sitting right there. I wasn't paying attention because I was admiring all the kittens. So the business end, I started intentionally. I was on the hunt for a kit and went to Ladies Only Fitness because a couple girls there were having a class, and I just wanted to investigate like the smells and what they could do instead of candles. And one of the girls was going on and on about how much income the girls above her were making. And the way she presented it to me, I kind of took it as a challenge. Because she was like, well, do it or don't. I don't care. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, game on. So then I just looked into it, and you can't start a business on like a brick and mortar business for $200. Mm-hmm. And you can't, sorry, please stop. You can't go to your 9-to-5 job and have all these tax write-offs for your business. Because now that I have my starter kit and I share randomly, I can write off my hydro, my telephone, my car, my gas, my property, like the list is friggin' endless. And that alone is worth going into business for yourself. And then you can take it anywhere you want. And because I do work full time, I've actually integrated my oils into the funeral home, which I know sounds ridiculous. But when I do trade shows, people will come by and they're the peoples that foo and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And they'll give you, you know, their excuses and stuff. And that's when I flip in. If this kills you, take my business card. I'm a licensed funeral director. And people will either laugh or they'll run. And I've gotten business for the funeral home that way. But then I also have my diffuser in the funeral home, and that's the first thing I fire up. And people will come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. So then I can pitch my Young Living when it's appropriate. It's easy. You don't have to have a ton of stock in your house. You're not selling, seriously, dude, you're not selling knives, encyclopedias, you're not going door to door. And it's no different than when you have David's tea. I don't drink tea often, but there's one David's tea that I like, and I recommend it to my friends. It's like going to the show. Oh my God, did you see this show? You should go see it. It's no different than your oil. Oh my God, I have lemon oil. You should try it. And when I first started, it was, oh, you have a headache? And you're taking out your arsenal right away of, here, try this, try this, try this. Because I wanted to prove to myself and everybody else that they did work. And it doesn't need to be complicated. We complicate our social media. We complicate that we can't do it. It doesn't need to. It takes, you can set 15 minutes aside. I think the hardest thing about this business is that the consistency, because it's so easy when I get home from work after working 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day. I just want to sit on the couch and eat some ho-hos. I don't want to talk to people after I've talked to people all day. So if you can stay consistent and people can see that you're still doing it, it's that easy. It's ridiculous. I mean, the products sell themselves.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that is what we love about it, is that we actually almost don't even talk about the business half the time because we love the product so much. It's not like you're like, well, I needed a business opportunity, so I'm going to pretend that these work and give them to you. Like, we believe so deeply in these products and what we do and what we're giving you and what we're offering people. And I think at the end of the day, that's the key to finding the right fit in this industry. Is there's lots in this industry that you can do, but finding the place that you have a passion alongside of it is so helpful to being authentically yourself. So for me, my story, I was an emerge nurse. I worked bedside in an ER, like a rural ER, for 7 years. And then I worked 6 years. And then I did almost 10, probably 9 years in the ER here in Kamloops. And so I had this wide spectrum of experiences, and I literally loved being a nurse so much. And I did not understand why anybody went into the sales industry at all. I didn't know why anybody sold anything, because why would you? I could just get a paycheck for doing what I do. And I was really good at it. And so I got married, I had kids, and I had 3 babies in just over 3 years. I had 3 C-sections, I had postpartum depression. I was like a hot mess. And between my second, so I worked full-time with my first full-time with my pregnancy and my second. And then after my second went to daycare, I went back full-time or part-time, sorry. And so I worked part-time with 2 boys in daycare, pregnant with my third. And I had like a 1 and a 2-year-old starting daycare, and I was like barely pregnant with my third. And so anyway, we got every cough, cold, and flu there ever was. And I was anti-natural anything. My best friend, Dana, was using oils. I actually accidentally texted her and thinking I was texting another friend and said, it smells too hippie in her house. But the cat was out of the bag because I accidentally sent it to Dana. So she knew how I felt, but she was very kind. And she kept sending me things. And so eventually I had my daughter spend a week in the intensive care nursery, or 5 days. I brought her home to a raging respiratory infection. And then she got sick. We almost got readmitted at 3 weeks old. And my husband finally looked at me and said, I literally don't care what you do, but you have to do something. The guys at work put oil of oregano under their tongue, and it seems to be doing something for them. So I was like, okay. So I had his like full permission to just do anything. And nothing else was working. So I actually had literally no intentions of doing a business. I didn't even believe the oils were going to work, but they worked for me. And my other passion was moms. Like, I knew how hard it was to be a mom all of a sudden. I was like, I'd rather do CPR all day some days than try to like navigate this journey. I do love being a mom, just to be clear, but like I was like, that to me is easier than what I'm dealing with here. And so I started having win after win, and these tools were working for me. And I started learning that, you know what, the things that I expected on the shelf that were safe were not safe, because it's not like they're going to kill you overnight, but the more we build up in our systems, my kids were covered in eczema. They were always unwell before we started swapping out products and started using oils. And all of these things started like a snowball effect for me of, I need to tell everybody about this. I was seeing evidence of just the general overall use of synthetic chemicals in literally everything we use show up at my triage desk day in and day out. So I started telling my friends, just like Janine. My story is actually very similar to Janine's. I didn't come for the business, but I started telling my mom friends, and they started needing this too. And I started growing a business. Dana tricked me. She's like, I was just having classes to support her business because she was doing the business. And then my friends started signing up in droves. And she's like, well, what's your goal for October? And I was like, I don't have a goal. My goal for October is to survive another month of motherhood. And she was like, well, you could win this free Aria diffuser if you rank executive. And I was like, done. I love free things. So I did. And then that was sort of the beginning of it. And so in 2019, I started in 2016. I actually left bedside nursing altogether to work at home. It was becoming exceptionally difficult to find after school care for my oldest, who is now in kindergarten. And the juggling and the days and the nights, I wasn't sure if I was gonna have to go visit Kim at the funeral home or my children, like something bad was gonna happen if I didn't stop working my shift. Maybe my husband, I don't know. Anyway, so this income allowed me to step out of that. And I have never looked back. And I actually feel like I have never truly nursed like I actually nurse now. I have the freedom to share with people. I have the freedom to help people stay well. I feel like the truest sense of who I am, I get to nurse on my own terms. And I think we can all agree that the healthcare system isn't in a good place right now. And I feel even more grateful to actually be at home. So, I mean, we launched into a pandemic, and what would I have done with my children if we were working shift work and Andrew was working? My mom got cancer in that time frame. So they couldn't help us with the kids. I was like 5 minutes away to help them when they needed it. Like, there's so many reasons that I love this business, and I didn't know I needed it. And now I just could not be more grateful for it. And just like all of these ladies said, these are like the truest, most basic things that you need to do to get started. You just need to use your products, and you need to love them, and you just need to tell them about it and look for opportunities to share with your friends. Like, our neighbor is from Dubai. They're new to Canada. And she called me and she's like, how do I see a doctor? My daughter is coughing. What do you do when your kids are coughing? And I was like, well, Pandora's box. Like,
Let me tell you.
yeah, I was like, well, I use essential oils. And she's like, I don't understand. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just pack up some stuff and I'll be right over. And I was like, it's so fun though, right? Like, you get to give people these gifts and you get to do it well. And you do not have to cold message people to get started. You do not have to go and start a conversation with someone you don't even know. And I think maybe not all of us, but I know at the beginning, that's kind of what I felt like we were supposed to do, and hustle and do this. And I'm sure I made like some really dumb moves at the beginning at times. And you know what? You just move on. And you're like, okay, well, maybe that person is never going to talk to me again, but I can do it better. So let me tell you, before you even get started, just don't do that. I had a lady like the other day that just she Facebook friended me. She had just literally seen me through another person. She already knew I had a business with Young Living. She could see that. And she just basically said, hi, thanks for friending me. I know so-and-so. I don't go to the same church as her. I go to this one. Do you use her company? I won't say names, but do you use this company as well as Young Living? And I was like, no. And she's like, do you want to? Do you want samples? Do you want to come to an event with me? Do you want to come to 2 events with me this week? You can be my guest. Like that. I was like, no, I don't. Like, you know, I'm already meeting my own needs here. And I was just like, and then I unfriended her because I just felt gross. It just didn't feel good. And so we do not endorse that. And I think that is sort of the beauty of Young Living, is that it sort of has its own culture when it comes to the network marketing community. There are people, trust me, there are people that don't do it as well as they could. But I just love this community, the people that we have right here. And we have classes, we have Facebook groups, we have support. Like every one of these ladies on this screen, I had no idea who they were before Young Living. And now I just count them in my circle of people that I love and I care for. And that is another extra gift of this community. And it's so good. Janine is a hockey mom and she may need to just jet out of here. So
I do.
And so basically, like, we have everything we need to help you. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to do all the things. You can at least even just start plugging into what we already have available and sharing, and then we can help you. We can come to your house. We can help you with classes. Like, we could do literally anything. And it's so fun. Like, it's so fun to do things together. Christine is part of my team. Kim is not part of my team. She's just like, we call them cross lines, but she's just in another part of Young Living. And
Just a rando.
yeah, she's just under like my friend Dana, and she's just in a different part of her organization, but it doesn't matter. We do classes together all the time. Like, we cheer for each other, we support each other, we show up for each other, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So anyway, so we hope that you see here that we have this incredible opportunity. And if you want to just Google, because I can't really put it on here, the income disclosure statement, Young Living, it will pop up. They don't hide anything. It is unreal, and they mean it. It doesn't mean you just automatically earn that overnight. It does take hard work, but we do not encourage you to lose every other part of your life to do this. Like, there's so much room to do this and do life too. So anyway, so we will continue to have this conversation. We hope to do another business class, maybe just in January, to share more. But if this is something that's exciting to you, or even if you just need 100, 200, you want to pay for your products, you want, you just need to make that car payment. Like, you don't have to set out to be a millionaire in this business, but you know what, if you wanted to, and you work hard at it and you stick with it and you're consistent, you actually can. So anyway, but for tonight, I hope that this has blessed you. And thank you to both of you lovely ladies for joining us. Is there anything else, burning questions or desires you have to say? Anything else?
I got nothing.
Okay, awesome. So you can enjoy Christina's really cute kitten here just for a few more minutes. And yes, thank you guys so much. And reach out if you have more questions and if we can help you.